I'm glad you're here. We just brought up something that we haven't talked about yet, and that was the news that General Michael Flynn got paid $530,000 to, quote, do a documentary. It's kind of interesting.
Was it a documentary about former national security advisors?
Turkey.
About Turkey.
About Turkey. This guy, the more we learn about him, the less we know, and the more baffling his selection as national security advisor seems.
Yeah, it certainly served one purpose, which is to take out Erdogan's opponents, particularly this guy Gulen here in Pennsylvania. But it may have also served this other purpose, and this is what I think congressional investigators are really going to be focusing on, which is, was this also a cutout to funnel Russian money somehow to Mike Flynn? Of course, he did do the speech at RT, at Russia Today. He did get some other payments from some other Russian entities. And I think as the investigations turn towards Michael Cohen, who was the longtime Trump Organization lawyer, they're going to be focusing more on the financial ties between the Trump world and the Russian Federation. I thought it was very interesting that Michael Cohen came into the crosshairs. He's the guy who, along with Felix Sater, if you'll recall, who was a Russian-born businessman, a senior advisor to the Trump Organization, has been searching for deals in Moscow, in Russia, for the Trump Organization for a long, long time. They tried to get this skyscraper built in Moscow in 2015, a deal that ultimately failed, but it was something they were pursuing very vigorously, and I know that congressional investigators are looking at those two guys to bring testimony and documents about that effort.
And more on this Flynn documentary, or I'll put that in quotes because I'm not exactly sure what he was being paid for, but at least was it your late husband who actually wrote about Flynn actually bragging about lying on security clearances?
Well, it was a conversation that he had amongst his peers. Perhaps he was joking, but he did say that the only reason he got a security clearance was that he lied. This was back in, reported back in 2010. The book was published in 2012. Something that, spending some time around Mike Flynn, that was really impressed upon Michael was Flynn telling Michael, you just have to go in, you have to shake up the system, get attention, maybe it's good or bad attention, but shake up the system. And that was what he did essentially when he published the report condemning U.S. intelligence for all of the failures, and he published it through a D.C. think tank. And he was talking in reference to that, but it's interesting how, years later, this kind of seems to be his MO also while working for President Trump.
And $500,000 for a documentary with Turkey, what do you think?
It seems unlikely, right? First of all, if you're Turkey and you want to produce, or you're a Turk and you want to get a documentary produced about an opponent of the president of Turkey, why would you go to Mike Flynn, who is not known for his expertise in documentary filmmaking? If you look at the federal disclosures, you can see that, yes, there were payments made to a documentary crew. They did hire people for this, but most of the payments went to the Flynn Consulting Company. And what's really not clear is what those payments
could have been money laundering.
And the client in this case, a Turkish businessman, he's given different reasons for what he was hiring Flynn for. It was to provide advice to a gas company, or it was to provide advice on Turkish-American relations, or it was to this documentary. It's changed a lot over time.
And it's yet another track for investigators to go down.